I just want to make it clear, she said, holding the microphone tightly like she was about to sing a pop song. That girl standing there, she pointed straight at me, has never lifted a single finger to help this family. Not one. And I'm sick of pretending otherwise. Everyone turned to look at me. All 98 guests. Some were friends. Some were family. Most were strangers. It was my father's retirement party, and I was frozen in place like someone poured cold water on me. People whispered. Gasped. A lady at the back covered her mouth like she'd just watched a puppy get kicked. And my father. He just sat there beside her, blinking, not saying a word. He didn't even look at me. I was shaking. But not from shame. From rage. Because what she said was a lie. And I was going to make her pay for it. But first I was going to make sure everyone saw the truth with their own eyes. Before we continue, please like and subscribe and let us know where you're watching from. Let's go back to where it all started. Back when I was 13. Back when my dad married her. It was a sunny day when he brought her home. I remember it clearly because I was sitting on the couch in my pajamas eating cold cereal straight from the box. My dad came in with this woman in a pencil skirt and high heels like she was going to a job interview. Not someone's living room. This is Claire, he said. She's going to be staying with us for a while. Claire smiled at me like she already didn't like me. Hi, sweetheart, she said, dragging the word like she'd practiced it in front of a mirror. We're going to be such good friends. She moved in that night. 2 months later they got married. No warning. No big wedding. Just came home with a gold ring and said, "We tied the knot today." I didn't hate her at first. I really didn't. I just didn't trust her. And that turned out to be the right feeling. She was like a teacher who smiles while giving you detention. Everything seemed polite on the outside, but inside she was ice. She would sigh loudly whenever I walked into the kitchen, roll her eyes when I asked questions. And she had this way of talking to me like I was always 1 second away from causing trouble. Then came the little rules. She said they were to keep the house running smoothly. No dishes in the sink after 8 p.m. No shoes in the hallway. No closed doors unless you're changing. No eating anything with sugar unless it was a weekend. And the worst one, always say yes, Claire, and thank you, Claire. My dad didn't say much. He was always tired from work. She'd bring him coffee, rub his back, laugh at his dry jokes. And when I tried to say something, he'd just sigh and tell me to stop making things hard for her. So I stopped complaining. I didn't want to be the bratty kid who couldn't accept a stepmom. I started cleaning more. I did the dishes. Vacuumed. I took out the trash without being told. I even packed my dad's lunch when she forgot. But none of that mattered. Not to her. One time she left a grocery list on the fridge and I walked to the store to get everything. Milk. Coffee filters. I even got the right brand of cereal she liked. When she saw it on the kitchen counter, she didn't even say thank you. She just picked up the milk, sniffed it and said, "Next time get the one with the blue cap." I was invisible unless something was wrong. And when something went missing, guess who got blamed? I remember one time her perfume bottle broke in the bathroom. I found it shattered on the tile and tried to clean it up before she saw it. But the moment she walked in, her voice went full drama mode. "Did you touch my perfume?" I shook my head. It was already like that. She squinted like she was solving a crime. "You need to learn to respect other people's things." I wanted to scream, but I just clenched my teeth and nodded. Yes, Claire. It wasn't just the rules or the cold stares. It was the way she rewrote every little story. Made me look like the lazy one, the careless one, the selfish one. School I kept to myself. My best friend Priya was the only person I talked to about it. She used to joke that Claire was like a Disney villain trying to run a bake sale. "Just wait," she'd say. "One day she'll slip." And then boom. Revenge story time. I'd laugh, but deep down I hoped it was true. 'Cause I was keeping score. Every lie. Every insult. Every eye roll. Every little thing she took credit for that I did. I was storing it all. By the time I was 17, things were worse. She had my dad wrapped around her finger. I barely got to talk to him anymore unless Claire was in the room. And when I told him I wanted to get a part-time job, Claire said it would distract me from being helpful at home. I got the job anyway, at a bookstore 2 blocks away. Claire hated it, said it changed my attitude. What it really did was give me a taste of freedom, a little money, and a plan. See, my job had security cameras. I learned how to check footage. I learned how people forget they're being watched when they think they're in charge. And I started recording things at home. Not with big clunky cameras. Just with my phone. Hidden in safe spots. I caught her yelling at me for leaving a spoon in the sink. Then smiling and telling my dad I refused to do chores. I caught her throwing away dinner I made and saying I never cooked. I even caught her faking a sprained ankle just so I'd mop the floor for her. Had a folder. Labeled proof. By the time my dad's retirement party rolled around, that folder was full. Claire planned the whole event herself. She invited almost 100 people. Had it at a fancy hall with white balloons and gold chairs and a cake taller than my little cousin. She wore a long blue dress like she was the one retiring. I didn't want to go. But I had to. My dad deserved to be celebrated. Even if he was blind to who she really was. I helped set up tables. Helped carry drinks. I even helped the caterers find the missing box of plates. And then she did it. She grabbed the mic. Stood in front of everyone. And decided to humiliate me. Said I never helped. Said I did nothing for this family. Said I was ungrateful and lazy and unkind. She pointed at me like I was dirt on her shoe. People stared. Some looked confused. Some nodded like they believed her. And my dad said nothing. I looked at him for 1 second longer than I should have. And that's when it happened. Something inside me snapped. I stood up. Walked to the middle of the room. And pulled the remote from my pocket. The big projector screen behind Claire was still showing pictures of my dad's old work trips. But not for long. Click play. And the first video started. Claire screaming at me for folding the towels the wrong way. The room went silent. Then the second video. Then the third. One by one. The gasp started. Aunt Layla actually dropped her drink. Claire spun around to see the screen. Her face went white. "What is this?" she yelled. I didn't answer. I let the video speak. I let the truth play out for all 98 guests. And as the final clip played, of Claire saying to someone on the phone, "She's so easy to manipulate. Her father's too tired to notice anything anyway." My dad finally stood up. "Claire," he said, his voice low, "is this real?" She tried to talk. Tried to twist it. But the damage was done. And the room was no longer on her side. But that was only the beginning. Because revenge isn't just one big moment. It's a story. And mine was just getting started. After the last video ended, the room was dead silent. You could hear someone's phone buzzing in their purse. A fork hit the floor in the back. Claire's lips were trembling like she wanted to scream, but no sound came out. My dad looked like someone had slapped him across the face with a cold towel. "Is this real?" he asked again, but this time his voice cracked. Claire finally moved. She marched toward the projector like she was going to rip the whole thing down, but someone stopped her. Mr. Bennett, my dad's old coworker. He held up both hands like a traffic cop. "I think you owe all of us an explanation," he said, calmly but firmly. Claire looked around the room, eyes darting left and right, looking for someone, anyone to back her up. But no one did. My Aunt Layla crossed her arms. My cousin Sarah whispered something to her boyfriend. Even the DJ had turned off the music. I stood there with the remote still in my hand, heart pounding, sweat on my palms, but I kept my face calm. Claire took a shaky breath and finally said, "You don't understand. She edited those videos." I tilted my head. "Really? You want me to show the raw footage with the timestamps next?" Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again like a goldfish at a funeral. My dad sat back down slowly in his chair. His shoulders dropped like all the air had left his body. He didn't look at her. He didn't look at me. Just stared at the floor. I didn't say anything else. I didn't need to. I walked out of the room, past the long buffet table, past the cake, past the woman in the purple hat who whispered "good for her" under her breath. I went straight outside into the cool air, sat on the front steps of the building, and let the quiet wrap around me like a blanket. But that moment of peace didn't last long. Claire followed me out 5 minutes later. "You think you're smart," she hissed. "You think that was clever. Embarrassing me in front of all those people." I stood up. "No, Claire. I didn't embarrass you. You did that yourself. You little..." She caught herself before she said the word. But I saw it in her eyes. That flicker of hatred. Like I'd stolen something from her. Like I was the villain in her story. "You've always been ungrateful," she spat. "I fed you. Took care of you. You used me," I said quietly. "There's a difference." Then she did something I didn't expect. She smiled. Not a kind smile. Cruel one. Tight and sharp like a knife. "This isn't over," she whispered. "You have no idea who you're messing with." Then she turned and walked away. I stood there, fists clenched, watching her disappear into the building. I didn't go back inside. I went straight home, packed a bag, called Priya. She picked me up 20 minutes later. Her eyes were wide. "Holy crap. You really did it." "Yeah," I said, sliding into the passenger seat. "But I think she's going to try something." "Let her," Priya said. "We've got receipts. And now the whole world knows." I stayed with Priya and her mom for the next few days. Her house smelled like cinnamon and always had something baking in the oven. Her mom didn't ask too many questions. Just gave me a warm blanket and said, "Bathroom's down the hall." On the third day I got a call. From my dad. I let it ring the first time. And the second. But the third time I picked up. He didn't speak at first. Just breathed. Then finally said, "I'm sorry." I didn't reply. "I didn't see it," he said. "I should have. But I didn't." "She fooled you," I said. "That's what she does." "I asked her to leave the house," he said. "She refused. Said it's hers too. Said I can't make her." I rubbed my temples. "Technically she's not wrong. You put her name on the lease, remember?" There was a long pause. "I want to fix this," he said. I didn't believe him. Not yet. But I let him talk. He told me she'd been acting strange since the party. Locked herself in their room for hours. Took phone calls in whispers. Snapped at him when he asked simple questions. "She's hiding something," he said. "Yeah," I muttered. "Like always." That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in Priya's guest room, staring at the ceiling, replaying Claire's words in my head. "You have no idea who you're messing with." Something was coming. I could feel it. And it arrived the next morning. In a letter. Delivered to my dad's house. But it was about me. He sent me a photo of it. It was from Claire's lawyer. She was pressing charges. For public defamation and emotional distress. She was suing me. I read the letter 3 times. Then burst out laughing. Priya looked at me like I was losing it. "She's suing you?" she asked, grabbing the phone. "That which is trying to play victim now?" "Yep," I said. "But it's okay. This is good." Priya blinked. "How is this good?" "Because now," I said, grinning for the first time in days, "we get to go to court." But before that could happen I had to build a case. I had the videos, yes. But Claire had been careful over the years. Most of her real damage was verbal, emotional, psychological. The kind of stuff that doesn't always make it into a camera frame. So I started talking. To everyone. My teachers. Old neighbors. Even the cleaning lady who used to come every other month before Claire fired her. Collected statements. Emails. Texts. One of the neighbors even gave me a recording from a backyard party where Claire was overheard saying, "I can't wait till that brat turns 18. Then she's out of my house for good." Each piece was small. But together, they painted a full picture. And the more I dug, the more I found. Turns out Claire had a history. She'd been married before. One of her exes had accused her of manipulating his family too. I found a blog post his daughter wrote. Sounded way too familiar. "She'd smile in front of people," the girl wrote. Then whisper things that made you feel 2 inches tall. I reached out to her. Talk. And she gave me her statement too. Things were falling into place. Until one night 2 weeks before the hearing, my dad called me again. And this time he sounded scared. She went into my office, he said. Took my files. My financial records. I don't even know what else. My blood went cold. She's digging for dirt, I said. Or trying to make it, he replied. Then he whispered, I think she's going to fake something. And I believed him. 'Cause the next day I got an email. From an unknown sender. With photos. Photos of me. Edited ones. Showing me breaking things in the house. Flipping the bird at a camera. Even one where it looked like I was stealing money from my dad's wallet. All of it. But if you didn't know better. It looked real. And the subject of the email. You want to play dirty. I'll show you dirty. I stared at the screen, fists clenched, as Priya leaned over my shoulder. She's really gone full psycho, she whispered. Yeah, I muttered. And now it's war. But before I could reply, my phone lit up. Text. From an unknown number. And all it said was, you should have stayed quiet. I showed Priya the screen. And she said the words I was already thinking. This just got dangerous. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Claire's smug face, that crooked little smile in my mind like a ghost whispering you messed with the wrong person. The message, you should have stayed quiet, was more than just a threat. It was a warning. A reminder that Claire didn't play fair. She played dirty. And now that I had cornered her, she was going to go down swinging. But the thing is, so was I. The next morning, I went straight to Priya's kitchen and grabbed her mom's old laptop. It still had Photoshop installed from when her mom used to make flyers for church events. I pulled up the fake photos Claire sent. The one of me supposedly stealing from my dad's wallet, and the one where I was smashing a lamp that I never actually touched. And I started breaking them down. One by one. I zoomed into the shadows, the lighting, the angle of my arm. I compared them to real pictures of me at home. My sweater in the fake lamp photo. I hadn't worn that since 2 years ago. The table behind me. We sold it last summer. Photoshop was good. But Claire was sloppy. I saved side-by-side comparisons. Added timestamps. Put together a folder labeled, Fabricated Evidence. Exhibit A. Then I called my dad. Tell Claire I want to settle, I said. There was silence on the other end. You sure about that? He asked. She'll think you're scared. I want her to think that, I said. Tell her I'll meet with her and her lawyer this Friday. Neutral place. No cameras. Okay, he said slowly. But you know she's not going to play fair. I'm counting on it, I said. I spent the next 2 days preparing. I printed everything. Organized it all in folders. Real statements. Real screenshots. Real video clips. I had backup copies on USBs and in a cloud drive under a fake name. Claire wasn't going to erase this, no matter what tricks she pulled. Friday came fast. We met at a quiet restaurant on the east side of town. Claire showed up in a white suit, like she was going to a business meeting instead of a showdown. Her lawyer was a tall man with slick hair and a too white smile. I could tell he hadn't watched any of the videos. He kept calling me kiddo. Claire smiled as she sat across from me. I'm glad you came to your senses. I didn't smile back. Let's get this over with. Her lawyer took out a folder and slid it toward me. Here's what we're willing to do. You issue a public apology, video format, post it on all your social media, and agree not to speak about Claire or the family again in public. In exchange, we'll drop the lawsuit and you won't have to pay damages. Blinked. What damages? Defamation, he said smoothly. Claire has suffered severe emotional stress. We even have evidence that you've tampered with family property. Photos, screenshots. Stop, I said. He did. I pulled out my own folder. First, I said, the photos you sent me are fake. Poorly done, by the way. Lighting doesn't match. Shadows are wrong. The object in the background of one of them. We sold it last summer. I have receipts. His smile faltered a little. Claire frowned. Second, I continued, I have real videos. From real security cameras. With timestamps. I have 6 witness statements. 2 are former neighbors. 1 is your ex-husband's daughter. Oh, and by the way, she's very eager to testify. Claire's mouth twitched. Third, I said, sliding over a second folder. You committed fraud when you filed that police report last week about your damaged jewelry. You know, the one you claimed I broke. That necklace you said I stole. Found the Etsy receipt. You bought it for $12.99 3 days after the party. It's not even real gold. Her lawyer looked from me to her, clearly shaken. I'm willing to settle, I said calmly. Here's my offer. You drop the lawsuit. You walk away. No more threats. No more fake evidence. You leave my name alone. And in exchange, I don't go public with all of this. Claire leaned forward. You wouldn't dare. I leaned forward too. Try me. Her lawyer whispered something in her ear. She jerked her head away. I'm not letting some brat win, she hissed. Not after everything I've done for this family. I raised an eyebrow. You mean everything you've done to this family? She shoved back her chair, stood up, pointed a trembling finger at me. You think you're strong now, she said. But people like you always fall. No one's going to care about your little sob story once I tell them what you really are. I didn't move. I didn't blink. She stormed out of the restaurant, dragging her confused lawyer behind her like a broken kite. And I exhaled. One battle down. But the war wasn't over. That night I got a text from my dad. Just one sentence. She's packing her things. Should have felt like a win. But it didn't. Because I knew Claire too well. She wasn't the kind to walk away quietly. And I was right. 3 nights later my dad's car got towed. Then his bank card stopped working. He called the bank. Turns out someone had called earlier pretending to be him. Gave all the right answers. Changed the PIN. Transferred money. Claire, he said, furious. She still had access. We called the bank, shut it down, filed a fraud report. But it was a mess. Then I got another message. Not from Claire. From someone I didn't know. But the message was clear. Thought you were done. She's just getting started. I showed Priya. He paled. She has people helping her. I nodded slowly. Looks like it. The next morning I noticed something strange on my email. Login attempt. From another country. My phone buzzed again. Another login. Then my school portal was locked. Then my Instagram. Then my email again. I was being hacked. I grabbed my laptop, changed all my passwords. Added 2-factor verification. Sent out alerts. But it was too late. Claire had started a smear campaign. An anonymous post showed up online with a fake story about me bullying a classmate. Then another post claiming I'd stolen from the bookstore I worked at. The comments were brutal. People shared it like it was gospel. Some of my classmates believed it. Even my manager texted, asking if I needed to take some time off. It was working. Claire was turning the tide. And for the first time in weeks I felt like I was losing. I sat on Priya's bed, my phone in my lap, trying not to cry. I can't stop her, I whispered. Priya sat down beside me. Yes, you can. You're just playing defense. You need to hit back harder. I shook my head. With what? She looked at me. Remember that box of your dad's stuff? The one you said he kept locked in the basement. Yeah. What if Claire missed something? My eyes widened. I bolted up, grabbed my bag and texted my dad. I need you to open that box. Now. 10 minutes later he sent a photo. Inside the box was a notebook. Handwritten pages. Financial records. And receipts. So many receipts. One in particular caught my eye. A wire transfer. From my dad's account. To someone named Jerome K. A name I didn't recognize. Until I checked the blog post from Claire's ex-husband's daughter again. Her last name was King. Her father. Jerome King. Claire had been paying off her ex to stay quiet. And now. I had proof. But I didn't get to celebrate. Because that same night my dad's house caught fire. Not a big one. Just the trash can outside. But the flames reached the siding. Someone had lit it. The neighbors saw a figure running off in the dark. No cameras caught the face. But I already knew who it was. And now, it wasn't just a game. It was dangerous. And someone could get hurt. The fire didn't destroy much. Just the trash can and some siding near the garage. But it was a message. A loud, crackling, terrifying message. The kind that doesn't need a return address. I was at Priya's when my dad called. I could hear the sirens in the background. His voice shaky but trying to sound steady. "I'm okay," he said. "The fire department got here fast. Did you see anyone?" "No. But the neighbors did." Tall figure. Hoodie. Ran off before anyone could get a picture. My blood turned to ice. Claire. She was officially off the rails. I knew I had to act fast. She was done playing pretend. If she couldn't ruin my name or drain my dad's money, she'd come for us in other ways. But I wasn't a scared kid anymore. I was ready to finish this. Called Jerome King. He didn't answer at first, so I left a voicemail explaining who I was and what I had. 2 hours later he called back. "Listen," he said, his voice hoarse and cautious. "I don't want any drama. I've moved on." "You took money from Claire," I said. "Money she stole from my dad. I have records." He was quiet. "She's going to burn this whole house down if I don't stop her," I added. "She's hurting people. If you know something, now's the time." Another long pause. Then he sighed. "I'll talk," he said. "But not over the phone." We met the next evening at a diner off the highway. It was quiet, with cracked leather booths and the smell of grease and old coffee. Jerome looked tired. His eyes were red-rimmed, and he wore a windbreaker 2 sizes too big. "I married Claire in 2006, he said. "Lasted 2 years. Worst decision of my life." He told me how she'd charmed his parents, sweet-talked his boss, and then slowly turned everyone against him. By the time she left, she'd drained his savings and convinced his sister he was abusive. "She's good," he said. "She knows how to play the victim. And once she knows your weaknesses, it's over." I showed him the wire transfer. "Why did she pay you?" "To keep quiet," he said simply. "After she married your dad, I guess she got paranoid. Thought I might talk. So she offered me a deal. Money every few months to stay silent. And you took it." He stared into his coffee. "Yeah. Can you write a statement?" "Yes. I'm not trying to ruin your life. I just need help stopping her." He looked at me for a long time, then nodded. By the next morning I had a signed statement. Dated 10. Backed up 6 different ways. Priya and I sat at her kitchen table, spreading out everything we had like we were detectives in a TV show. Photos, witness statements, text messages, emails, receipts. It was enough. But I wasn't done. I needed a way to make sure Claire couldn't just slither away like she always did. If she got caught faking messages or staging fires, she'd deny it. Blame someone else. I needed something that showed who she really was, unfiltered. So I set a trap. I messaged her from a burner email account. Pretended to be a lawyer working with another one of her exes. Told her I had evidence of past fraud and was willing to work something out before going to the police. Within 30 minutes, she replied. Her message was short. "Name your price." Smiled. "Gotcha." I messaged back. "Let's talk on the phone." She agreed. What she didn't know was that I'd already spoken to a real lawyer. They told me recording the call was legal in our state as long as one person, me, knew it was being recorded. So I hit record. And then I listened. Claire's voice came through the speaker, calm, careful. "What exactly do you think you have?" she asked. "Enough to put you in a tough spot," I said, keeping my voice flat. "If this is about that spoiled girl and her sad little videos, don't waste my time." I clenched my fist under the table. She's been obsessed with ruining me for years. I did everything for that family. Everything. And what do I get? attacked at a party and humiliated in front of strangers. She thinks she's smart, but she's just a bitter little parasite. That was enough. I ended the call and saved the file. Claire had just buried herself. Called my lawyer. Then my dad. Then Priya. The next step was going public. And I knew just the person to help. My old English teacher, Mrs. Byrne, ran a community blog that got a lot of attention. Local stories. Family drama. Exposés. I sent her everything. All the evidence. The statements. The audio. Even Jerome's testimony. She called me the next morning. "I've never seen anything like this," she said. "Are you sure you want this out there?" "Yes," I said. 2 days later the blog post went live. Title: The Truth Behind the Retirement Party Scandal. One teen's fight against gaslighting and greed. It exploded. People who were at the party shared it. Got posted on Facebook. Then Reddit. Then someone on TikTok made a video summary with dramatic music. Hit 1 million views in 3 days. Claire's perfect image crumbled like a stale cookie. She tried to fight it, of course. Released a public statement saying she was the victim of a campaign of lies. But it didn't work. The comments dragged her. Her old co-workers came forward with stories. Even her hairdresser posted a TikTok calling her the most two-faced client I ever met. And then, like a final cherry on top, the police knocked on her door. Not for the photos. Not for the blog post. But for the fire. Turns out the neighbor across the street had just installed a new security cam. The kind with a motion sensor. And guess who got caught on it? Claire. Holding a lighter. Wearing a hoodie. Looking right into the camera for half a second. Enough to ID her. She was arrested for arson and fraud. My dad filed for divorce the next week. It felt like the final boss had been defeated. But the story didn't end there. Not for me. Because when the smoke cleared, literally and figuratively, I was still left with a reputation in ruins, online rumors swirling, and a pile of emotional rubble to clean up. Not everyone who saw the TikToks believed my side. Some still thought I edited everything. Others said I was just trying to get attention. And at school, things were tense. Some classmates treated me like a celebrity. Others avoided me like I had a disease. Priya stuck by me. So did a few close friends. But the damage lingered. Then, a week after Claire's arrest, I got a letter. No return address. Just one sentence on a torn piece of paper. "This isn't over." And taped to the back. A photo of me and Priya at the diner. Taken from across the street. Someone had followed us. Someone was still watching. And Claire. She might have been in jail. But someone else had picked up where she left off. The letter shook me more than I wanted to admit. It wasn't the words. It wasn't even the picture. It was the feeling. That cold, pricking sensation crawling up the back of your neck when you realize someone's eyes were on you. And you never saw them. Claire was locked up. No bail. She had a court date coming up. And my dad's lawyer said things were looking solid. The fire, the fake evidence, the messages. All of it tied her to a very ugly situation. But now it was clear. She wasn't working alone. I showed the letter to Priya. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I saw her face go pale. "You think it's one of her friends?" she asked. "I don't know," I said. "But whoever it is, they know where we hang out. Where we sit. They know we meet at that diner. That's not a coincidence." We brought the photo to the police, but they didn't have much to go on. No fingerprints. No security footage near the mailbox. Just one blurry street camera showing a person wearing all black dropping something in a postbox late at night. I was officially being stalked. We locked down our socials. Deleted old photos. Turned off geotags. Even Priya's mom started double-checking the doors at night and keeping the porch light on. I could see the worry in her eyes every time I left the house. Hated it. I hated that this person, whoever they were, was still trying to scare me. And I hated even more that it was working. But I wasn't going to run. I was going to find them. The first thing I did was go through Claire's phone records. My dad had pulled what he could before the police took her phone as evidence. I cross-checked the numbers with old voicemails and junk texts and found a few unknown numbers that appeared regularly. One stood out. It was listed under a contact named Sammy. They'd spoken 28 times in the last 2 months. I looked the number up. It led nowhere. But Priya had a trick. She texted the number from a different phone pretending to be someone looking for a roommate named Sammy who used to live in the area. No reply. But 2 hours later, someone tried to call the number back. Picked up. Silence. Then a low, gruff voice said, "Wrong number." Blick. I knew that voice. I couldn't place it, but it scratched at something deep in my memory. Familiar, like hearing an old teacher speak from another room. I recorded it. Played it back. Listened again. Nothing. Not yet. But I wasn't giving up. Later that night, Priya and I were sitting at the kitchen table again when her mom came in holding an envelope. "This was in the mailbox," she said. "No postage. Just dropped in." Another letter. Inside was a single photo of my dad, standing outside the courthouse, talking to his lawyer. The picture was recent, taken that morning. On the back, someone had written, "Next time it won't be a photo." Snap. I drove straight to my dad's house, made him pack a bag, and brought him to Priya's. Then I called the police again. This time I demanded protection. I showed them the photos, the letter, the caller ID logs. The officer, a tired-looking man named Detective Alvarez, finally took me seriously. "We've seen this before," he said. "People get obsessed. They latch on. Especially when someone like Claire has influence." "She's in jail," I snapped. "What kind of influence does she still have?" "You'd be surprised what people are willing to do when they think they're helping the person who saved them," he said. He was right. Claire had always had a way of making people believe they were special. Like she chose them. Like she saw them. Even if she was just using them. The question was, who did she manipulate this time? That night I had another idea. It was risky. Stupid maybe. But I was desperate. I went on Claire's old Facebook account. It was still up. She'd never deleted it, just stopped using it a year ago. Probably forgot the password. Her profile was filled with filtered selfies, inspirational quotes, and comments from women named Brenda and Diane praising her baking skills. But then I found it. Post from 8 months ago. "Shout out to the only person who ever truly had my back. You know who you are, Purple Heart." The only comment under it. From someone named Eli Paxton. "Always." Clicked the profile. Private. But his profile picture was interesting. It was a blurry mirror selfie. But behind him, taped to the wall, a newspaper clipping of my dad. From when he got nominated for a business award. I stared at the photo for a long time. Then I messaged him. I used a fake account. Pretended to be someone new in town who saw his profile and wanted to connect. He replied. Quickly. Too quickly. His messages were weird. Overly polite. Full of phrases like, "How lovely to meet someone so genuine," and "People like us need to stick together." It was Claire's tone. Her influence. I knew then. This was the guy. The shadow behind her. The one still out there watching. So I baited him. I told him I had info on Claire's arrest. That I knew who betrayed her. That I wanted to meet. He agreed. We set the meet at an old park near the edge of town. I told him I'd be sitting near the swings wearing a blue hoodie. Then I called Detective Alvarez. "We'll have plainclothes officers nearby," he said. "You sure you're up for this?" "No," I admitted. "But I'm doing it anyway." The next day, just before sunset, I walked to the park. Priya waited 2 blocks away with my dad in the car. I sat on the swing. Waited. 5 minutes. In. Then I saw him. Eli. Tall, wiry, awkward gait. He kept looking around like he expected someone to jump out of the bushes. He had a phone in one hand and something small in the other. Maybe pepper spray or a pocket knife. I didn't move. He got closer. "Are you Amelia?" he asked. I nodded slowly. He smiled. But it didn't reach his eyes. "Claire told me about you," he said softly. "Said you'd try something like this." "I'm not here to hurt her," I said. He tilted his head. She was good to me. I'm sure she was. Until she wasn't. He frowned. She said you ruined her life. No, I said. She did that herself. He clenched his fists. Then, right as he stepped closer, police. Hands where we can see them. 2 officers burst out from behind the trees. Eli turned to run but tripped. Fell face first into the dirt. They cuffed him quickly. Priya ran over. My dad too. I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. It was over. Or so I thought. At the station, Eli confessed to dropping the letters, taking the photos, trying to hack my accounts. I wasn't going to hurt anyone, he said. I just wanted to scare her. Make her stop. He meant me. Claire had told him I was dangerous, manipulative, that I'd ruined her life for fun. He believed every word. Until the officers showed him the videos, the statements, evidence. Then he broke down. She said if I helped her she'd take me with her, he sobbed. She said she was going to disappear after the trial. Start over. We'd start over. You were just a pawn, I said quietly. He didn't reply. They charged him with stalking and attempted intimidation. No bail. The court date came. Claire's case went fast. The jury took less than 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Fraud. Arson. Filing false police reports. Her sentence. Years. She didn't look at me as they took her away. Not once. But that wasn't the end. 2 days after the trial I got one final letter. No stamp. No return address. Just 2 words. Scrawled in messy handwriting. Nice move. And for the first time, I wasn't scared. Life after the trial felt strange. Not quiet, just like the volume had been turned down on everything. Like I was walking through the same world, but all the edges were softer now. People smiled at me differently. Some kids at school gave me nods of respect in the hallways. My teachers didn't look at me like I was trouble anymore. One of them, Mr. Choi, even pulled me aside after class and said, "Took guts, Amelia. Most adults couldn't do what you did." That meant something. But the weird part, I didn't feel like I'd won. Claire was behind bars. Eli was gone. The blog post had cleared my name. My dad was slowly rebuilding his life. People had stopped whispering about me at the store. I should have felt free. But I didn't. Because no matter how far I got from it, there was still this quiet voice in my head. The one Claire helped build. The one that whispered, "Are you sure they believe you? Are you sure they're not just being nice?" I guess that's what happens when someone chips away at you long enough. You forget what your real voice sounds like. Priya said it was normal. She brought me hot chocolate every other day and made me laugh with dumb TikToks and random memes. She said healing wasn't a straight road. It was more like a hallway with flickering lights and weird carpet. I told her that was oddly specific. We laughed. And then things started to feel better. My dad and I talked more now. He apologized often, too often. He cried once when he was doing the dishes and just muttered, "I let her turn me into someone I'm not." I didn't say much. Just hugged him. It was enough. One night, we sat in the garage with folding chairs and sodas and talked like we hadn't in years. I told him about the day Claire snapped at me for how I folded socks. He told me he remembered hearing it but thinking it's not a big deal. She chipped away at both of us, he said. You just woke up faster. He asked if I'd ever forgive him. I told him I already had. Mostly. But that wasn't the end of it. Because 2 weeks later, something happened that sent me right back into that old feeling of panic. I got a notification from a private forum called the Porchlight Club. It was a website that shared exclusive stories from people who'd been wronged by the system. Claire had joined it 6 months before her arrest. She'd posted about me anonymously. She'd posted about my dad. Called us the liars who destroyed her home. I knew it was her because she used the same phrases she used in court. But now there was a new post, written just days ago, by someone named Housen Samir. The post read, "Some people think they've won when the trial ends. But courtrooms are just stages. Real justice comes later. Quietly. And permanently. Let's just say the story's not over. Not for her. Not even close. Under was a photo. Grainy. Zoomed in. A girl sitting in a bookstore aisle reading. Me. From behind. Had been taken just yesterday. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then texted Priya. It's not over. She called me immediately. What do you mean? I sent her the link. She read it. Then she whispered. What the actual? We were right back where we started. Except this time it wasn't Claire. She was still locked up. No internet access. No calls except monitored ones. I called the prison myself just to confirm. So who was this? Eli. Impossible. He was in a psych evaluation center after his sentencing. No online privileges. That had been part of the judge's ruling. Then who? That question stayed with me for days. I checked behind me every time I walked home. I stayed away from windows. I even stopped using my real name online. Priya helped me dig deeper into the Porchlight Club. Turns out it was an invite-only forum. Most of the posts were vague and petty. But some were dark. Posts about fixing the people who took everything. Plans to humiliate exes, expose bosses, scare neighbors. The admins didn't just allow it, they encouraged it. They ranked the stories. Gave users badges for creative revenge. It was sick. We found one user who claimed they were friends with a woman whose stepdaughter made her life hell and got her thrown in jail. That was the clue we needed. We followed the user trail. Checked usernames across platforms. Priya used a scraper tool that tracked usernames from Reddit to Twitter to tiny blogs. Eventually, we landed on a Tumblr account called Rain47. And there it was. Photo from my dad's retirement party. One Claire wasn't in. Taken from the corner. Behind a table. Had to be someone who was there. I zoomed in. And saw a hand. With a silver bracelet. A bracelet I remembered. Because it belonged to one person. Mrs. Janine. Claire's cousin. She was at the party. Said barely 10 words to me. Wore a purple blouse and a silver bracelet with a small blue charm. I'd helped her find a seat when she got there. I remembered because she had smiled at me and said, "You look just like your mom." That sentence had felt like a warm surprise in the middle of an otherwise horrible day. But now, that same person had been posting about me in revenge forums. I sat frozen, staring at the screen. Claire's cousin. She was the new threat. I didn't wait. I sent everything to Detective Alvarez. He called me within an hour. "We've been monitoring that site for months," he said. "Didn't know there was a connection to your case. Now we do. They got a warrant. Tracked the IP. Raided Janine's house. She wasn't there. She'd already gone. Left a note. Some of us know how to finish the job." And just like that, I had a new ghost chasing me. Claire may have lit the fire. But Janine was holding the match now. And she wasn't looking for attention. She was looking for revenge. Janine didn't leave a trail. No credit card swipes. No phone pings. No rental cars in her name. She vanished the way predators do. Silent, fast, and invisible. But the threat she left behind. That was loud. Deafening. After the raid, Detective Alvarez assigned 2 officers to drive by Priya's house and mine every few hours. Not full protection, just a visible presence. A reminder that someone was watching. But I knew Janine wouldn't care. She was older than Claire. Calmer. More calculated. Claire had rage and drama. Janine had patience. And in some ways that made her more dangerous. I couldn't sleep. Kept the lights on. Double-checked the locks. Started carrying pepper spray in my backpack. Every car engine made me flinch. Every knock at the door made my stomach twist. My dad tried to stay calm, but I could see the fear in his eyes too. He started setting an alarm system at night and kept a baseball bat under the couch. I felt like I was living inside a stretched rubber band, waiting for it to snap. And then one night, it did. It was a Thursday. School had just let out, and Priya and I were walking to her house when I spotted the car. Black sedan. Same one that had been parked across from my bookstore 2 days ago. I didn't say anything at first, but I pulled Priya's sleeve and whispered, "Don't look behind us. Just walk faster." She stiffened. We turned the corner and I ducked us into the alley behind the pharmacy. The car crept past a minute later. I memorized the plates. Then I did something I hadn't done since Claire's trial. Called Jerome, Claire's ex-husband. He picked up after 3 rings. "Amelia." His voice was wary. "I need your help," I said. What now? Do you know if Claire ever talked about Janine doing something like this? Following people. Getting revenge for her. Silence. Then, yeah, she called her the backup plan. And blinked. "What?" Claire said. "If I ever go down, Janine knows what to do." Froze. My hand went cold. He continued. "They used to joke about it. Plan A is Claire's charm. Plan B is Janine's chaos. I thought it was just weird cousin stuff." "It wasn't," I said. "She's targeting me now." Jerome exhaled hard. "She's capable of anything, Amelia. She used to say things like, 'Blood sticks better when you burn away the fakes.' You hear me? Claire was fire. But Janine is ice." I didn't sleep that night. The next morning a police report came in. Someone had broken into my school after hours. Nothing stolen. But one thing was left behind. Note. Folded, taped to my locker door from the inside. "You learn best when you're afraid." That was it. I wasn't playing defense anymore. I was done waiting. So Priya and I went to work. We made a timeline. Every public appearance Janine had made in the last 6 months. Pulled up photos. Reverse image searched everything. Used forums, people finder tools. Even reached out to a few mutual friends from the retirement party. And then we got lucky. A girl named Lexi, Claire's old coworker, messaged me back. "You think Janine's dangerous," she wrote. "She used to follow one of Claire's boyfriends around just because he broke up with her cousin. Drove 4 hours to sit outside his new girlfriend's job." I asked if she still talked to Janine. "Not since Claire's arrest. But I know she stayed with some guy in the woods for a while. Crazy prepper type. Went by Evan. Kept cameras on trees and ate canned beans. Name. Lead. I gave it to Detective Alvarez. They ran the name, location and finally got a match. Cabin. 40 minutes out of town. No electricity. No running water. But one solar panel on the roof and a generator in the back. Place to hide. They waited until nightfall. Then they moved in. Janine wasn't there. But her laptop was. And on it, dozens of photos. Of me. Priya. My dad. Even my school principal. Some were taken from far away. Some were close. Too close. Inside the laptop bag was a hard drive. Encrypted, but the officers got it cracked. The drive held folders named things like Endgame and Plans. There was a file named Amelia Final Step. I didn't want to open it, but I had to. Inside was a Word document, 1 sentence long. "A public collapse is more satisfying than a quiet end. She took Claire's voice, so now we take hers." Underneath that, a list of school contacts, emails of teachers, journalists, my bookstore manager. Each name had a short blurb. "Ms. Keller, math. Thinks Amelia is too smart for her own good. Exploit that. Mr. Choi, English. Likes Amelia. Frame as favoritism. Gossip with other students. Bookstore manager. Accuse of stealing again. Reinforce rumor." My hands were shaking. Janine hadn't just been watching. She'd been building an entire campaign to destroy me. Mentally, socially, professionally. But now I had the proof. I turned it over to Alvarez. He issued a statewide warrant. Janine was on the run. But she wasn't a ghost anymore. She was cornered. And I knew she'd come out fighting. 3 days later she did. But not how I expected. It wasn't a break-in. It wasn't another photo or creepy note. It was an email. Sent from an anonymous address. With a video attached. I almost didn't open it. But I did. And what I saw made my knees go weak. It was my dad. tied to a chair. In a dark garage or shed. Mouth tape. Is wide. And Janine's voice off camera. Hi Amelia. Thought we'd catch up. Your father and I are having a little chat. Nothing serious. But here's the deal, you drop the case. You retract everything you've said publicly. And you give me Claire's tapes. Yes, I know you have backups. You do this by Sunday. Or your dad says goodbye. The screen cut to black. My heart stopped. Priya grabbed my phone. Replayed it. Holy crap, she breathed. She took him. Called Alvarez. They were already tracking the signal. It pinged in a wooded area past the state line. This wasn't a threat anymore. It was a hostage situation. And I was out of time. They moved fast. Within an hour of the video, Detective Alvarez had mobilized state police and a tactical unit. The video's metadata showed it had been filmed less than 5 hours ago. Time mattered now more than ever. They narrowed the location down to a stretch of forest just over the state border. An old hunting shed sat hidden in the trees. No road signs. No electricity. Perfect for someone like Janine. But I wasn't sitting this out. I told Alvarez I was coming. He said no. I said I'm not asking. So they let me ride in the back of one of the unmarked SUVs. Priya wasn't happy about it, but she understood. She helped pack my backpack with what she called brain weapons. Every file, photo, recording, and piece of proof that we had collected since the start. If Janine tried to twist the truth, I was ready. We arrived just before dawn. The woods were quiet. Fog curled around the trees like smoke. Birds hadn't even started their songs yet. The officers fanned out. Silent. Focused. Guns drawn. I waited behind the last line of cover with Alvarez and another officer. Heart slamming in my chest, palms slick with sweat. An voice. From inside the shed. Muffled. But sharp. It was Janine. You think this is a game, Amelia? You think justice is some neat little folder you hand to a cop? She knew we were out there. She knew I was listening. She stepped out into the open, holding a walkie-talkie in one hand and something small in the other. At first I thought it was a knife. But no. It was a remote. Her eyes found mine instantly. You ruined everything, she said, her voice shaking with rage. You humiliated Claire. You exposed her. You turned her into a villain. She gave you a home. A family. She gave me rules, I said, stepping forward past Alvarez before he could stop me. She gave me fear. And you gave me proof that monsters don't always look like monsters. Janine laughed. High, cold, cracked around the edges. I'm not the monster, Amelia. You are. You had a good life. You just didn't know how to be grateful. I held up the flash drive I brought. I have everything, I said. Emails. Photos. A plan. You're done. She stared at me. Then at the shed. Then at the remote. Drop it, Janine, Alvarez shouted from behind the trees. She didn't move. Then, for one long second, she closed her eyes. And let out a breath. And dropped the remote. She raised her hands. Officers rushed in. Inside the shed they found my dad. Alive, shaken, dehydrated, but unharmed. His eyes locked on mine as they cut the ropes, and for the first time since this whole mess began, I saw him smile like my dad again. Like the version of him before Claire. Before everything. It was over. Really over this time. Janine was arrested on the spot. Charged with kidnapping, stalking, cyber harassment, and conspiracy to commit assault. Her trial didn't take long. Especially after the video, the files, and Jerome's updated testimony. She got 12 years. No parole. Claire, still behind bars, tried to appeal her case. It was denied. And me. I finally exhaled. I started therapy a month later. I didn't think I needed it at first. But talking about everything, really talking, helped. Helped me separate my thoughts from her voice. Helped me rebuild the version of myself that had been chipped away for years. School got better too. My teachers respected me. The bookstore hired me back. I even gave a talk at a local youth center about resilience and emotional abuse. People clapped. Some cried. A girl came up to me afterward and said, I didn't know what was happening to me until you told your story. He nodded. Understood. Priya and I stayed close. Closer than ever. She joked that we should write a book. Call it My Stepmother's Cousin Tried to Kill My Dad. I said we should just call it Survived. As for my dad, he was healing too. Slowly. He started writing again. Joined a support group for people who had been in manipulative relationships. I went with him once. We didn't talk much that day, but when he got up and introduced himself to the room, he said, "My name is Greg, and I'm learning how to see people clearly again. Especially the ones who love me." And then he looked at me. And I knew we'd be okay. 1 year later, almost to the day, we held a small celebration. Not a party, just friends and family. People who had stuck by us. People who knew the truth. It was calm, warm, honest. There were only 17 people in the room. And that was plenty. Toward the end of the night, my dad raised a toast. "To my daughter," he said. "Who lifted more than a finger. She lifted this entire family back to its feet." People clapped, smiled. And in the back of the room, Priya whispered, "Full circle." We went outside after the guests left, watched the stars. And I asked her, "Do you think there are more Janines out there?" She nodded. "Yeah. But there are more people like you too." I didn't say anything. Just looked up at the sky. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't feel watched. Felt free.